Yahweh presents The Week That Was.
Welcome to the Yahweh's Week That Was. We're only 1 week into 2017 and we're already off to a pretty good start.
Well, 2017 got off to a poorly lip-synced whimper for Mariah Carey after this cringeworthy performance waiting for the ball to drop in Times Square. A lot of people went home early because Mariah had already dropped the ball.
You just don't get any better.
Her response was truly inspired by uncommon sense. Whoever said smoking weed would make you lazy obviously never met the guy who changed this into this.
Now that's ambition.
Looks like the terrorists wanted to start off the year by reminding us that they're still going to be around in 2017. A lone gunman kills at least 39 people in a crowded nightclub in Istanbul, Turkey. The attack happened just minutes after the clock struck midnight on New Year's Day. The 115th Congress convenes in Washington. Paul Ryan gets reelected as Speaker of the House. Chuck Schumer becomes Minority Leader in the Senate and vows to block every single Republican policy initiative that gets brought before the Senate for consideration. So much for working together, huh, Chuck? In a late-night meeting behind closed doors, House Republicans tried to take a wrecking ball to a bipartisan ethics panel that's supposed to keep them from behaving unethically. 2 tweets from the incoming president and the GOP backs down.
I guess Trump was right when he said he was going to be just as tough on the GOP as he was on the Dems. It's pretty encouraging that he's willing to pay such close attention to congressional ethics, even when it involves his own party.
President-elect Trump calls out General Motors for sending Mexican-made cars to the United States. GM replies with a statement. Ford reacts by announcing their plan to scrap a $1.6 billion plant in Mexico and will instead invest $700 million in its Michigan operation, a deal that'll bring 700 jobs to Michigan.
Carrier, SoftBank, Boeing, now Ford? Can Trump really fix the economy in 140 characters or less?
Dylan Roof killed 9 people in a Charleston, South Carolina church in 2015, and the judge in the trial agrees he's competent enough to represent himself in the sentencing phase.
I guess Abraham Lincoln was right when he said he who represents himself is a fool for a client.
Here's the Week in Tweets.
So I'll be leaving Fox News at the week's end and starting a new adventure.
Still think this has something to do with why Roger Ailes left Fox News last year.
82-year-old convicted mass murderer Charles Manson was hospitalized on Wednesday for an undisclosed illness. He's back in prison now. I guess there really is no cure for whatever makes him like he is. This North Carolina resource officer has been placed on paid administrative leave pending an investigation of this incident.
The uncommon sense analysis says this guy belongs in anger management classes.
Hillary Clinton looks like she's ready to bury the hatchet as she and Bill announced they will attend the inaugural. California seems to think that Donald Trump will be coming after them once he becomes president, so they've hired former Attorney General Eric Holder to assist in defending the state against any policy conflicts that might come up.
Price tag $25,000 a month. I wonder if the background check picked up that whole contempt of Congress thing.
4 people are arrested after broadcasting the kidnapping and torture of a mentally disabled man live on Facebook. It's bad enough that these thugs tricked this guy into thinking he was going to a friend's house for a sleepover, but it gets worse when they start screaming racial slurs at him and forcing him to make racist statements about Donald Trump and white people in general. The whole time they're beating him, choking him, and cutting him with a hunting knife while screaming F Donald Trump and F white people. All 4 of these violent racists are being charged with hate crimes. United States intelligence officials released their report on the alleged hacking of the November presidential election and found that she was the victim of a misinformation campaign directed by this guy. The campaign was designed to keep her from getting elected. Since all the polls showed that she was almost guaranteed to be the next president, the Russians changed their methods and started leaking information to damage her presidency.
So apparently the Russians believed all those pre-election polls that said she was a shoo-in for the presidency just like the rest of us did.
Nothing says fun in the sun like a lunatic with a gun. This guy, who was interviewed by the FBI in November because he said the voices in his head were telling him to join ISIS, gets on a plane in Alaska with a gun and ammunition as his only luggage. He flies to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, picks up his gun at baggage claim, loads it, and shoots 13 people, killing 5. He even had time to reload at least once before he surrendered to police. I don't even think ISIS will be willing to claim this guy was working for them.
So there you have it. That is the week that was on the Yahweh for week 1 of 2017. Hope you enjoyed watching as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Please feel free to interact on any social media platform of your choice. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/the Yahweh. You can follow us on Twitter if you like. That's @the Yahweh if you're on Twitter. And also you can reach me directly, james@theyahweh.com. Again, that's james@theyahweh.com. I look forward to hearing from any and all of you with your thoughts and criticisms and comments about what you may have just watched or any part of theyahweh.com. Please be on the lookout for any uncommon sense you might find, and we look forward to bringing it to you again soon.